G'day, this is a quick slideshow about Steve's Kebab House, a place that's very significant to me. I love going to Steve's, having a Steve's. Without doubt it serves the very best food that you can get on the North Hobart restaurant strip. I've been going there for years. It's such a regular, dependable part of my life. I just can't imagine a world without this place. I guess it provides what Davidson describes as a consoling intimacy. The rest of NoHo can come and go with its restaurants popping up like mushrooms and disappearing just as quick. But I don't care as long as I can have Steve's. I can't recall when I first had my first Steve's. Would have been at least a decade ago. I was vegetarian at the time, and I used to get a falafel and eat it while walking along the street. When my wife and I met, we discovered our shared fondness for having a Steve's. Only she didn't understand how I could eat it whilst I was on foot. So she introduced me to having a Steve's in a much more civilised fashion on the couch, in front of the telly, with a bottle of Diet Coke or some red wine. This is how you get to Steve's from our house. It's not very far. Hopefully you recognise, the red line that you can see, that's Elizabeth Street in North Hobart. Look, anyway, up the top there, North Hobart Recreational Ground, that's the footy oval now, the home of the Hobart, crikey, Tigers? North Hobart Tigers. So we're across the road from there. And you can see that this map's from 1905, so Wignall Street, the street over from us, doesn't exist yet. There's just a bit of a creek there. And the little footprints are the way that I like to walk there, along the couple of those skinny back streets to get up to Elizabeth Street. And it's a much more pleasant way than the way that Google Maps recommend that you walk. So here we are on Elizabeth Street, across the road from Steve's. Steve's is the place in the middle with the yellow canopy and no signage. It's a really nice, quite an imposing building. Either sides of it are these much plainer, kind of Victorian places, I guess. I'd never really noticed the grandness of this building before, really taken it for granted. If you go to allhomes.com, you can see that it goes a long way back. And I wonder what's out there. Anatolia, the place on the right, is a Turkish restaurant, and that's owned by the parents of the guy who runs Steve's. So maybe they all live out the back. Maybe the Piccolo people too. Piccolo, that gets good reviews, but it's not a patch on Steve's. It's a shame about that red above Anatolia. It didn't always used to be that way. Courtesy of blessed Google Street View, you can see that it used to look much better without the red. It's been a while since the Google van must have gone by this way, because Roma Records on the left there, that's been gone a while. It shows that not only the businesses come and go, but they come and go often because of cultural or technological change. I certainly wouldn't like to try running a record store these days, not there. Google Street View can be strangely archival in this sense. I don't suppose they'll keep this old image when it does get updated. But you can also see that there used to be a Steve's Kebab neon sign on the top of the canopy, so they did used to have a sign. But that's gone now. But there it is. In its day, Steve's was a Peterbred David to the hamburger multinationals Goliath. As well as there being the NoHo Steve's. In the 90s there used to be Steve's Kebabs in town, in Bellreeve, in Sandy Bay, in Kingston, and in Derwent Park. And Steve's was said to be the brainchild of Steve, someone who ran a used car yard in Argyle Street, just over the way. Maybe he overcapitalised, maybe he lost the hunger. But for whatever reason, one by one, Steve Kebab houses started popping out of existence. The Steve's in North Hobart is the sole surviving straight Steve's. You know, they don't do like a pizza on the side, or as some of them used to. And even they're talking about changing their name. If they do, you know, so be it. Steve himself, the original Steve, is said to be living in a caravan park somewhere in New South Wales. I used to think the guy who was always there and always served me was Steve, because he was always there, and it was called Steve's. But after my wife and I began going there for a while, we started talking about it with a friend of ours who also liked Steve's. We realised our guy couldn't be the Steve, the original Steve. For one thing, he would have had to have been about 12 when he started. So this is what you see as you walk in the door of Steve's. It's a very intimate place with fluoro lighting. We've never dined in there. I threatened to take my wife there on a date one night, but it hasn't happened yet. But her birthday's coming up, so... Anyway, she has the chicken kebab, which is second from the left there. She adds to that extra tabbouleh and hot chilli and a little bit of garlic sauce. And I've been around the board, but these days I go for the vegetarian falafel again, with a bit of barbecue and chilli sauce, and highly recommended. We wonder sometimes about the future of Steve's Kebab, with the sign coming down, and occasionally there is talk about changing the name. A couple of summers ago, they shut down for 10 days, and we're in a panic. It was really an existential dilemma. We didn't know what to do. It turned out that they'd gone down to the Taste of Tassie, and the combined Anatolia and Steve's had run a Turkish stall. But we were really in a jam there for a bit. I guess if Steve's ever was to close down, we'd probably have to buy the place and run it ourselves. So there you go, Steve's Kebabs.